Good day, podcast community. PeteKane here, podcast Pete and lifestyle coach. And we got a special guest on the show. This marks 4 years since I survived a stroke. So having Steve on the show today is our only podcast guest. So it's extra special. So Steve, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into the podcast.
Okay, well, I'm Steve Bailey, and I am semi-retired now. I serve as the care pastor at Grace Church in Grace Church Town Center in Kennesaw, and I also serve part-time as a chaplain with Corporate Chaplains of America. So yeah, that's what I'm up to these days.
Beautiful. Tell me, I want to go back because I went to my 50th high school reunion and, talking to all my friends are going like, when are you going to retire? And I said, never. And there was a reason for the answer, but I want to know, when you retired, what was it like to go from very busy to having plenty of time to decide what you want to do?
Well, I was always and continue to be of the opinion that retirement, as it's commonly conceived, is not really something I believe in. I don't think it's something that the Bible talks about, and so I knew that it was time for me to stop one job and start another, at least one more. So. Yeah, it was more of a change for me, maybe a change of intensity, but certainly a change of just a difference in what I'm doing, but not to stop working completely. Normally we think of retirement as doing nothing, going from working full time to doing nothing, and that was never my hope. So after a month or so of vacation, I began looking in earnest for other avenues to serve where I felt I had the ability or giftedness to be able to do it and the opportunity to do it. So, and based on my experience and training and everything. So that's what I did.
I know from talking to you at church, you jumped out of a plane. A lot of people would like to do that, but they're a little scared of it. So your kids, I gave you as a gift. So was there some hesitation to jumping out of that plane, or
No, not really. It was something I kind of always wanted to do, And you go. It's a tandem jump, so it's not really dangerous. Just a little scary. It's like riding a roller coaster, but probably the highest one you've ever ridden. So there's a certain amount of fear, but it's to me, it's a fun kind of fear. If you like roller coasters, you'd like to go skydiving. So yeah.
People that have never gone, and I know Cameron, and a friend of ours, he's done it 9 times. His dad's done it once. What was it like to do that? I mean, you hear about it, you see people doing it. What was it like to experience that?
Yeah, it was. They give you some training classes. Of course, first you have to sign a waiver, pretty much saying anything happens, it's not their fault. And then, it's like I said, it's very similar. For me, it was similar to a very high roller coaster. You go up very slow in a small plane, way up high, up and up and up and up and up, and then you jump. And for the first, when you first jump out of the plane, it's pretty terrifying. You're going really, really fast. But after a while, the whole thing doesn't last very long, just seconds. So, maybe, I don't know, from the plane to the ground, maybe a minute or something like that. And so the first 20 seconds or so are pretty terrifying. But then once the chute comes out, it's very relaxing and calm and very quiet. Talk to the guy that you're hitched up with there and make sure that you land well. You have to make sure that you land correctly, and so you don't break a leg or anything. But yeah, it was great. It was fun. So that was my 70th birthday present.
Yeah, that's a good one. I have mine coming up, so maybe I'll be jumping out of a plane
There you go.
based on your story. So tell me, like, I know you spent a lot of years in the ministry and you
Mhm.
spent time in Argentina. When you first got to Argentina, what was that like to go to a different country and
Mhm.
different culture, different everything? What was that adjustment like?
Well, we had gone to Argentina of our own, free will. We looked around and decided that was where the most opportunity was, and up at the time, and someplace we felt we could live. We had never visited before. Nowadays, kids, high school kids, and even younger in churches take mission trips and things like that, but that wasn't really happening then. So we had never seen the place, but pretty much prepared to live the rest of our life there. But we went, and we had studied about the country and talked to people that lived there, and knew some things to expect. But yeah, it was, of course, very different. We had 10 or 9 months of full-time language training before we went in Spanish, and then took some language when we first got there as well for 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
about 4 hours a week. And yeah, I mean, it's different. We lived on the outskirts of a big city, Buenos Aires, and we live on the outskirts of a big city right now. So in Tucker, outside of Atlanta. So it's not, I mean, it's different for sure, but when you go overseas or you live overseas, it's not different in the sense that it's still you, and there's still air to breathe and food to eat, and you have to decide what you're going to do each day. It's not a magic atmosphere or anything. So yeah, so obviously the first few years you're just adapting and learning the language, learning the culture, and but I found it, I found it very exciting and very stimulating. And I feel like when the best place in the world to be for a follower of Christ is in the center of God's will.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always the best place. It doesn't mean it's the most comfortable place. It's not a beach in Hawaii or anything like that, but it's the place where that this is where God wants you to do, where He wants you to be, and what He wants you to do. So I very much had that feeling, and that gives a certain satisfaction, joy to your life, purpose.
You always hear the difference in cultures and how just everybody has a certain habits and different things they do. What's the biggest difference for somebody that's never been to Argentina? What's the biggest culture difference that surprised you when you went down there and you're trying to, connect and be a part of that country and that culture?
Yeah, a couple of things, maybe one little thing and one bigger thing. One of the little things that is very different there is that it's very important to relationships and to your interaction with other people that you greet people. Here in the States, a greeting is not that important. You say hello, or maybe to a person you might greet. But when you come into a room in Argentina, it's important, to a living room or to a common area in a church or whatever. You walk in a building, it's important that you greet each person individually in the culturally appropriate way. Here it would be shaking hands. There you kind of give us kind of an air kiss on the cheek to everyone. And it's very important. You can offend people greatly if you don't greet them. And people will stop being your friend. They'll stop coming to your church if they felt they weren't greeted properly and people didn't recognize that we're there. So the first time you see anybody, you greet them, and the first time, and when you leave them for the last time, you greet them. It's very important and very, it's very important, and something that has kind of stuck with me, even though it's not part of this culture, but important individual greetings. And then the other thing, I guess, one of the differences in culture has to do with it's an event-oriented culture versus a time-oriented culture. In other words, if you're going to a church meeting or going to any other meeting, the meeting starts when you get there. The meeting doesn't start when somebody calls the meeting to order. So because of the way the culture works, because a lot of, especially in the cities where I lived, transportation is usually public transportation, and not always reliable. So if it's raining, for instance, people might not come out to an event, or people might be late, and it's just taken into account. The bus was running late, or it's just not that important to show up on time. What's important is that you're there, and things start when you get there. They don't start when whoever's leading the meeting calls it to order. So what that, just promotes an environment where it's not it's not that important how long things take or what time do you get to things. It's the time that you spend with people, and people are what's the most important thing. And you don't need to visit people in their home. It's not, you don't need appointments. You don't need to call ahead. You just stop in and visit. If someone comes to see you, you automatically receive them. You automatically serve them something to drink. You automatically ask about their family. It's a much more, and I say, at least in Latin America where I lived, and I traveled throughout Latin America during my time in Argentina. It's very common. It's a common thread in all Latin American countries and cultures that it's very people oriented, and some countries are a little bit different in time orientation, but in general, they're all event oriented rather than time oriented. So those are a couple of differences.
That definitely is a big difference. Is there a food that you miss that you got used to down there and you enjoyed that you're not able to enjoy here?
Argentina is a long way away, and I say that to mean that it's not like Mexico. We're right next to Mexico, right? We have a border with Mexico. Argentina is a long way away, meaning that Argentina is nothing like Mexico. Matter of fact, Georgia is probably more like Georgia is more like Mexico than Argentina is like Mexico. Other than they speak the Spanish, but it's very different sounding Spanish. But it's a long way away, so they don't eat. Argentina is a very European country, much like the United States. It was settled by European immigrants, so they don't eat rice and beans. They don't eat spicy foods. They don't eat tacos. It's very much a meat and potatoes and salad type country. There's no real. I mean, they have different foods, but I miss the beef. Argentina is known for their beef, and beef there tastes different, tastes better than it does here, and I miss that part, I guess. No real. I mean, the way you cook certain things, certain meats or whatever, certain dishes or certain desserts. Sometimes we'll want to make those kind of things, but there's nothing food-wise that I miss. They have pizza. The pizza is a little different, but there's not a whole lot that I miss that I can't get here if I want to.
Yeah, that's good. What do you think? How did your kids respond when all of them, to my knowledge, have settled in the United States?
Yeah.
What do you think it taught them to grow up in a different country and to come back to America? Is there anything that sticks out that they picked up that they wouldn't have if they didn't live in Argentina?
Yeah, they were 6, 4, and 2 when we went there. So virtually all of their schooling, K to 12, was done in Argentina. And even though they took English, quote unquote, in their school, everything was in Spanish for them. So they're fully fluent in both languages, and that's an advantage that very few people have. And I'm obviously fully fluent in Spanish, but just like anyone, it was not your first language. You can tell when it's not somebody's first language, even though they speak it well. And my kids don't have an accent in either language, and they are very much what are known as third culture kids. They are Americans, but they feel like Argentines. That's where they grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they feel like Argentines, they aren't Argentines. So they're not either from here or there. They're from a third culture place, and it's an interesting phenomenon. They call them third culture kids,
Mm-hmm.
who grow up in one place but are from another place, and never quite at home in either, fully at home in either culture, even though they feel more at home in Argentina. They and the people there know they're not from there, and they feel fully, they look and sound just like they're from here, but they don't feel fully at home here. And
Mm-hmm.
people know they're not from here. So it's something that is noticeable. For instance, when they went away to college, they studied in the United States, and all the third culture kids in the school where they went, the university where they went, kind of gravitated together. It didn't matter what country they came from, because they were all from that third country. And they had a lot of stuff in common, even though they were from very different cultures. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I heard a term. I'm very familiar with the term PK, preacher's kids, and then somebody said MK, missionary kids.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a difference in the two?
Well, sure, but the difference would be, and that's why I would not use the term MK. I would use, it's more specific and accurate to say third culture kid, not an MK, because a pastor's kid generally grows up here in the United States.
Yeah.
But a third culture kid, a missionary kid, grows up overseas, so it's a whole different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually bilingual. They're usually bicultural. They're usually, the good things about them, they're often able to adapt to any situations. They're good at meeting people. They're good at adapting to new environments. I think that's true of all of my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are difficult things. Some kids don't adjust well, depending on how old they were when they went or came back. Some kids don't adjust to re-entry back into their sending culture really well. And so there are difficulties and some trauma involved in it sometimes, but there wasn't any of that. There was very little of that with our kids, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was generally a positive thing for them.
Yeah. What do you think if you can go back and you're talking to Steve at 21 years old,
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give him knowing what you know now?
Wow. Well, I don't know. I mean, to me, what I knew then and what I know now, the basics of life haven't changed, in the sense that I don't want to be pedantic or overly simplistic, but the most important thing is your relationship with God, and from your relationship with God stems your whole life, and you need to draw close to God and stay close to God. Seek to listen to Him every day in the Word of God, and pray and seek to maintain that relationship with Him, because that affects. If you're not right with God, then you'll never be right with people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not right with God, you'll never be right with your life. And so, and I knew that then, and I know it now. It's just been reinforced over and over. And it's also where, because it's the most important thing, it's also the most difficult thing sometimes, because there's a lot of competing things in your life that want to become the basis or the foundation of your life. So I guess I would say, just stay close to God, and keep working on God. Doesn't just have a plan for what you're going to do. He's a plan for who He wants you to be, and the character qualities that he wants to build in your life are only found that everybody's looking for peace in their heart. Everybody's looking for joy in their life. Everybody's looking for purpose and love. And those things, peace and joy and love and purpose, we could go on and on. Those things that everybody wants, in my opinion, and I think Scripture backs me up and my experience certainly does, those things that we so much desire are not found in seeking those things. We don't find peace and joy and love and purpose seeking after peace and love and joy and purpose. We find them in seeking after God. And when we seek after God, and I'm not just talking about religion or church, but I'm talking about a personal relationship with God. When we seek God as a byproduct, we also find the peace and love and joy and purpose. But we don't find it in seeking the it's like that's the fruit of the tree. It's important to get your roots down in God, and then the fruit, those things come as a byproduct of a life that's grounded in God.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say anyway.
That's good. Do you think?
Never asked me that before.
Yeah. Well, you after you do 350 podcasts, you pick a couple things up. But my next question, when you look at today, and let's go back 5 years, do you see any difference in people seeking God today versus 5 years ago?
No, I don't. I mean, I think the only thing that's changed is the distractions change. It's just different things that that compete for our attention. Other than God. I mean, 5 years ago, I guess we still had the internet and all that, but the internet and the telephone and the media, television, and all that has been something that's certainly been present all my life, but those influences have only increased and become more more kind of just always present in our life, the things that and more present that distract us, TV and internet and all the distractions have become more and more readily available. So that's what's, I think, changing. I think man is still the same in terms of what people are still the same. There's just different things that compete for their attention now, I think.
What do you like most about your role at Grace?
I just like getting to know all the people and being able to at least have a voice in how the church runs and the things that we do and the things that we offer people and the kind of church that we are, having a voice in that and a role in that. And I'm there when people need me for hospital visits or phone calls or just texts or lunches with people, conversations. Sometimes I do Bible studies with people or sort of counseling times, especially with couples. I'd say that's probably maybe one of the things I enjoy the most and have done the most of is working with married couples there. So that's kind of, I guess that's kind of what I enjoy the most.
How different is it, your role at Grace with your role at corporate chaplains? What are you doing there that's different that you could share with us?
Yeah, well, the chaplaincy role in a corporate setting, I mean, it's similar, I guess, to what, if you have a chaplain in the Army or the chaplain in the Navy or a military chaplain or sports team chaplains and those kinds of things. It's first of all, in a corporate setting, not everybody's a Christian. Not everybody has the Christian faith. There are people of all faiths. There are people of no faith. So you're working with a whole different people who have, in a church setting, you're often working with people who, kind of share a common ground and a common set of presuppositions about life and about the role of God in our life. Well, that's not true in a corporate setting, just like it wouldn't be in any work setting. So I work, for example, my main area is in a hotel that employs some 300 or 400 people, maybe 200 people, I guess. And, they're from all over the place, all over the world, really. And from all different walks of life, and lots of Spanish speakers. The hotel industry, as you know, has a lot of Latin American workers. So my Spanish comes in handy. One of the reasons why I got the job, because it was a bilingual position. So yeah, I find it, and the mission and the goal in chaplaincy, at least in Corporate Chaplains of America, which is the organization I work for, is to build caring relationships with people, with the hope that through those relationships we can gain permission to share the good news of Jesus Christ, which changes lives. So we're always caring for people, listening to them, praying for them if they want that, coming alongside them when they're in difficulties, with the hope that we can share what we believe is going to change their life the most, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ. So that's what you do. But in order to do that, just like in a church setting, you have to know people. You have to learn their names. You have to get involved in their life. You have to know what's going on with them, what they're struggling with. So a lot of my time as a chaplain is just spent, they call it doing your rounds, just kind of walking around and saying hello to people and good morning, afternoon, how you doing, and seeking opportunities to go deeper, to ask them about their life, to see what's happening in them, because people go through ups and downs, and there are moments when people who care nothing about God or spiritual things or eternal things, but in a day or two, when their child is sick and in the hospital, or their mother has cancer, or their wife is, all of a sudden, then they want to know, they want to talk, they want to, they have more interest. So, but in order to do that, you have to be there. You have to be in their life. You have to know them to take advantage of those opportunities. So it's a very different type ministry. It's caring for people with the goal of sharing Christ. And in the church, it's also caring for people with the goal of sharing the hope that we have in Christ. So in some ways, they're similar, just the audience is different,
A lot of times you will run into people and they don't want to acknowledge they're going through anything difficult in their life.
Yeah.
How do you kind of look at that? Because having been on your journey, being in the ministry, missions, pastoring, do you have certain things that you can either look into their eyes or see their body language? Is there anything that sticks up that you've noticed that a person wants to talk, but maybe they're reluctant to chat with you?
Again, I don't really have any magic answers or formulas. I just think it comes out of a relationship. People, there's a saying that I didn't invent, but I think it's true. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. Once they know that you care about them and you're there for them and you've demonstrated over a period of time, it doesn't happen overnight. Relationships aren't formed or strengthened overnight, but once that relationship exists and they know that you care and they know that you're there to listen and you know that you're not going anywhere, and there's some continuity in relationships, I think that's where most people tend to share. There are some people that, will tell you their whole life story the second you meet them, but most people aren't like that. Most people you need to build a trust relationship with that only comes over time and only comes over demonstrating that you care. And by things like, well, in one visit, I saw he had a picture of his son, John, and the next one I'm there, I'm going to, how's John doing? Or how's this doing? Or how's your football team doing? Because everybody's got their little desks or wearing things, or I know they're from a certain country. And so as you get to know people, you ask questions about their life. Again, it's not it's very much not walking around telling people about God. It's walking around caring for people, looking for opportunities to share, and then doing that by gaining permission to do that, because we have to do that. Otherwise, the business wouldn't allow us in there. Because I don't work for the hotel. I work for this chaplains organization who allows us to work there at the hotel.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you like most about, because I know you have another class of married couples coming up. What do you like most about working and having these classes with married couples?
Yeah, the marriage class that we're getting ready to start at Grace Church is really interesting. It's different than most courses or classes or training in marriage. It's not a place where you have a teacher sitting in front of the room and everyone is not sharing about their marriage. Nobody talks publicly in the meeting. Everything is based on a series of videos that we watch. Couples sit at tables for two, kind of make it kind of romantic. We put tablecloth on there. We serve food, and they interact with the video. The video stops at certain strategic points. It's okay to discuss this at your table. At your table is just you and your wife. You're not talking to any other couple. So it's a very good time for some folks who work a lot and or have a lot of kids. It's the only time they have an hour and a half just to spend together with no interruptions, and they can talk to each other about important things. So there are important matters that have to do with everything from companionship to money to sex to child raising to all these things that it's important for couples to talk about, but some couples never really do talk about them. They just think, well, we're going to figure it out as we go along. But so I think it's this particular course has been really great for that. And obviously there are couples who need more counseling, who need more in-depth work. This course is not necessarily for couples that are in trouble, but if a couple is needing more counseling or more help, we can certainly provide that. We can either meet with them for pastoral counseling or refer them to a therapist or something that could give them the help that they need. So we're always on the lookout for that as well. Yeah.
That's so good. I've been a part of men's groups for years. And when I first got exposed to CORE, it was the first time I'd ever been exposed, because it was always curriculum based and CORE is not. Tell our viewers, what is CORE and what do you like about it?
CORE is just a program that we have at the church that doesn't meet on Sunday mornings for the regular gathering. They're small groups of usually 3 to 5 or 5 to 7 people, usually not much larger than that meet at various locations around the city. In the mornings, there's morning cores, there's afternoon cores, there's evening cores. CORE is an acronym that stands for confession, outreach, reading, and encouragement. And it's just a time for people to talk about their life, what's going on, how can we help one another. We usually read something together in the Bible during the week when we're not together, then discuss it when we are together, and talk about how we can reach out to others who don't know Christ, and be able to support one another in prayer. They're just small life on life groups where we learn how to do life together and ask difficult questions that you can't ask on Sunday morning. Nobody's raising their hand on Sunday morning and asking to clarify things. So it's a time where, you learn to get to know each other better. Yeah.
So good. I want to be respectful of your time. So tell our
Yeah.
viewers, how can they, if something has resonated with them, how can they get a hold of Steve?
Well, you could write me at my email address at CAI the number 10 at gmail.com. I'd be glad to talk to you. You can look up Grace Church at Town Center on the internet, and information's there about our services, and I'm pretty much always there. I love to meet anybody that wants to meet. If you're interested in a marriage class, you better hurry up, because we're getting ready to start that just a little over a week here, and we'd love to have you in that. There's still some room for more couples in that.
So good.
Yeah.
What would be the last question? What would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
Oh, man. I guess it's what I shared before, that purpose in life, and the big three: love, joy, peace, is not found in seeking after them. It's not found. People spend their whole life seeking after them, seeking in religion, or in a career, or in money, or in power, or in sex, or in drugs, or whatever it might be. But it's only found, those things are only found in Jesus Christ. So, and not only those things for our life, but also being sure that when you die, which we can all die at any moment, you thought you were dead 4 years ago. When you die, you're ready to go, and you know where you're going to go, because you have that relationship with Jesus Christ. So to me, that's more important than going to any church or attending any class or anything, is that relationship with Jesus Christ.
That's so good. Steve, I want to thank you for, on a Friday afternoon, taking time out to be with us on this podcast. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, man.